Hey there Wargamers, Justin from AMP Services here with today's Tactical Tuesday video. Today we're going to be discussing the Contemptor pattern Dreadnought and why I think it's one of the best units in the game. There are two different variants for the Contemptor. You have the standard and you also have the mortis pattern. I like the latter more than the former a little bit, but both of these embody what a Dreadnought should be in the tabletop game. They trump any other standard Dreadnought in any other codex in my opinion. The first major benefit of running a Contemptor Dreadnought, specifically the standard pattern, is the allotment of weapon options that you can use. This makes this model very versatile and it can fill a lot of gaps in your army. One of the other benefits of having all these weapon options at your disposal as well is that it lends itself well to magnetization. So in one particular army, you might really need a plasma cannon, like is shown in this photo. But in another army, you may be missing some type of heavy armor punching power, so you might want to swap out for a las cannon. This model lends itself really well to that. The mortis pattern Contemptors, the ones with the what looks like assault cannons in this particular photo, are my favorite variant, and for good reason. Compared to the standard Contemptor, these are the ranged, specific versions. They don't really do any melee. They have a lot of really good weapon options for ranged, but I like to gravitate towards the Keras assault cannons. The reason I like the assault cannons is because they're good at hitting light vehicles because they're strength 6 with rending, and because it's a lot of shots. Each one of their Keras assault cannons has 6 shots each, so by outfitting your Contemptor mortis pattern with 2 of them, that's 12 shots. On top of that, you could put a carapace mounted cyclone missile launcher, which would have 2 more shots that you could fire. In this particular case, it'd be strength 8, AP 3 shots, or small blast, strength 4, AP 5 shots. This gives this unit a lot of versatility. This versatility doesn't stop just with their weapon options, however. They do have an ability called Helical Targeting Array, and this is the one thing that makes me gravitate towards this unit more than anything else. The weapon options are really good and that helps. However, the Helical Targeting Array gives the mortis pattern Dreadnought the ability to remain stationary during a movement phase, and they gain the Skyfire and Interceptor special rules. This is particularly useful for combating flyers, skimmers, and deep striking units. Utilizing the Interceptor Rule is very effective. In this particular photo, my opponent decided to deep strike one of his Grey Knight Dreadnoughts into my front lines, right in front of my Linebreaker Squadron and my tanks. Now, before he ran to the right, he was in front of my Contemptors here, and I decided to use my Interceptor special rule to be able to light him up before he ran and decided to try and use his flamethrower on the sides of my tanks. Unfortunately, in this particular case, I was unsuccessful in taking him out, but it did do a lot of damage. If the dice rolls had been slightly more in my favor, I might have taken him out before he could do anything. Utilizing this Interceptor rule is really useful for taking out things like drop pod Space Marines, or maybe even combating a Farsight bomb before he's able to bring his fusion blasters to bear on the sides of your tanks, or even maybe your Dreadnoughts. In addition to being just a really solid unit, the mortis pattern Contemptors also have something else going for them. Currently their rules come from a Forge World book. The new Contemptor that Games Workshop has just put out rules for in the Angels of Death supplement is a heavy support option for Space Marines. The Contemptor mortis pattern, on the other hand, is still an elite choice. For me, as a Space Marine player, my heavy support slots are really bloated right now. I have a lot of tanks. I also don't really care for the anti-air tanks that the Space Marines currently have. I think the Dreadnoughts are cooler looking. So for me, being able to use an anti-air Dreadnought that's an elite choice versus the new Contemptor from Games Workshop and the Angel of Death supplement as a heavy support choice is really appealing to me. It helps with my army construction. So we've discussed why I think the Contemptor, both standard and mortis patterns, are effective and solid units for the tabletop. But I've only discussed their offensive capabilities. One of the major benefits to the Contemptor pattern Dreadnought is its special rule, automatic shielding. This is a rule that Dreadnoughts desperately need. In the current state of the game, monstrous creatures dominate. They're everywhere, and they're not as susceptible to being blown up as easy as a Dreadnought or a tank is. The automatic shielding special rule gives the Contemptors a 5-up invulnerability save. This isn't huge, but it's a 1 out of 3 chance to not take damage. In addition to that, to help balance it, because these guys are slightly more effective in melee and they didn't want to overpower them, this 5-up invuln save is only usable at range. If you manage to assault a Dreadnought or a Contemptor Dreadnought, that invuln drops to a 6. Also, I'm assuming because they think these might be powerful, when the Dreadnought explodes, there's also a special rule that impacts how large the blast radius is. When they blow up, they actually blow up 1 extra inch radius, so it'd be 1 inch plus the d6. So to do a quick recap, once again, while I think the Contemptor and Mortis pattern Contemptor Dreadnoughts are really good, they have really good weapon options. They're very versatile. They lend themselves well to magnetization, so you can incorporate them in a variety of ways into your army. The Mortis pattern variant, if it does not move during your movement phase, gains the Skyfire and Interceptor Rule. That helps combat alpha strikes and take down flyers. Finally, they also have the automatic shielding special rule, a rule that most vehicles and dreadnoughts are lacking and they desperately need. They're lackluster compared to most of the flying monstrous creatures in terms of how survivable they are, and having that 5+ invulnerability save is extremely effective and warranted. So what do you guys think? Are you rocking Contemptor pattern dreadnoughts in your army? Has this video encouraged you to maybe go out and get one and try it out for yourself? Sound off below, let me know what you think. Whether you're using one now or you're considering getting one, I'd like to get a discussion started. Additionally, if you haven't already, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel. I'd love your support. Also, if you haven't taken a moment to like us on Facebook, please check us out there as well. Also, all the Ultramarines you saw in this video were painted by me. If you'd like to have me paint something for you, please click Quote Request now. In closing, I've also been trying to get my Patreon page started. I know it's a huge endeavor and it's wishful thinking, but I'm trying to give back to all you guys for supporting my channel, and I'm trying to grow the channel as well, so this is a realistic next step and I'm hoping it works. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and as always, happy wargaming.